What if I told you there's a power so strange and unsettling, it can reshape reality with nothing but a whisper? In modern stories and thrillers, this kind of force turns words into weapons, commands that can silence, deceive, or even kill. First, it sounds like clever fiction, but the deeper I dug into myth and legend, the more I discovered echoes of something ancient, something real. Imagine a whisper that calms the sea, a sacred song that summons the rain, or a chant so charged it could heal or curse. That belief has a name in Japan, Kotodama, the spirit of words. And today I set out to trace its roots, not just in Japan, but across traditions around the world. By the end of this journey, I found myself wondering, what if this ancient power isn't just a myth? And how would you actually use it in real life? So stick around until the end. In my everyday life, words used to feel ordinary. I'd text a friend, write an email, or grumble under my breath, never thinking twice about what those words might carry. A slip of the tongue might cause an awkward moment, nothing more. But the more I paid attention, the more I realized language shapes everything. It builds our beliefs, our culture, even our memories. Writers and storytellers have long imagined a world where saying the right words can change reality. And strangely, even science shows that sound and vibration can affect matter in surprising ways. That got me thinking, maybe beneath all our casual conversations, there's something deeper, something powerful. So I decided to step beyond the world of everyday speech and explore a realm where words are more than just tools, they're forces of nature. That's when the real hunt began, when I encountered Kotodama. In Japan, there's an ancient belief that words hold spirit. Kotodama, or sometimes Kotodama, or literally means word spirit, koto for speech, and tama for soul. It's the idea that spoken words carry mystical energy. According to the old myths, uttering certain phrases doesn't just express meaning, it triggers unseen forces. This isn't just symbolic. In the Kojiki, one of Japan's oldest mythological texts, the gods Susanoo and Amaterasu take part in a divine challenge. They chant sacred words to prove purity, and those words bring forth gods and goddesses, shaping the world as they speak. Their ritual wasn't just ceremony. It was creation through language. That moment struck me. Could Kotodama be a clue to a lost understanding of how language once worked? How it still might? My guide on this path is history itself. In Shinto shrines, the sacred spaces of Japan, priests still ritually invoke kami, spirits, or gods, with chants and Nor-Ito prayers, believing that correct pronunciation and intent can sway fate. In an old dojo, the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, even taught that the art is built on Kotodama. Aikido is the superlative way to practice the Kotodama, the means by which one realizes his true nature as a god. Outside Japan, the idea sounds exotic, but as we dig into the lore, we begin to recognize the same theme everywhere. From Norse sagas to Vedic hymns, cultures talk of spells and mantras, secret syllables charged with power. It becomes clear that the word magic of fiction has a real pedigree. I have learned that in Japan, the land itself was once called or phrased as Kotodama no Sakiwo Kuni. Literally means the country where the blessings of word spirits are abundant. As I stepped beyond the ordinary world, I found unexpected allies in books and mentors hidden in history. In Japan, I discovered the story of a silent master of calligraphy, one who taught not through speech, but through the movement of the brush. His lesson was clear. Don't just see the character with your eyes. Feel it with your tama, your soul. It was here I first saw Kotodama, the spirit of words, come alive through action, not explanation. In Japanese martial arts, I learned how this belief flows into the ki, a sharp, focused shout that channels spirit through sound. It's not just a yell. It's a moment where intention, breath, and body unite. Through it, the fighter doesn't just speak, they manifest will. My guide explained it this way. To speak with Kotodama is to align breath, body, and belief. Even in poetry, every syllable seems to carry weight, as if each sound holds unseen potential. From these quiet masters, I began to understand that words in Japan aren't treated as simple tools. They are alive. I heard tales of monks meditating on a single syllable for days, and of Shinto rituals where even an accidental word, a homonym, a sound-alike, could bring fortune or misfortune. Whether or not I believed in literal magic didn't matter. What mattered was how real it felt to those who lived by it. They didn't just hear words, they felt them. And then, I saw how this ancient belief still echoes today. In anime, games, and films, the idea of words shaping reality of Kotodama has been reborn for new generations. Characters who wield words as weapons or spells are more than fantasy. They're reflections of an enduring truth that people have always believed language holds power. In the anime, is this a zombie? Euclid Hellscythe embodies Kotodama in its purest and most dangerous form. Whatever she speaks becomes reality. As a necromancer, she can kill or revive individuals simply by uttering the right words, so potent that she must communicate only by writing on a notepad and wear heavy armor to restrain her power. Her reality-warping speech isn't metaphoric. Euclid literally alters fate with each syllable, a clear echo of the Shinto idea that voiced Nor-Ito, prayers, can shape the world. Fans even note that her power is tied to her emotions and speech, killing foes with a casual die and conjuring shields from her intent alone. By contrast, Jujutsu Kaisen offers a more systematic take on word magic through cursed speech, Jugon, an inherited Inumaki family technique that infuses spoken commands with cursed energy. From its first appearance in Episode 8, it's shown that a single utterance can compel foes to obey, stop moving, explode, etc., with the strength of the effect tied to the user's skill and the listener's susceptibility. Tugi Inumaki, the primary wielder, even restricts his everyday vocabulary to harmless rice ingredient words like onigiri or salmon to avoid unintentionally triggering his power, underscoring how dangerous a stray phrase can be. Guides on the technique detail a repertoire of commands, each word a sealed spell, highlighting how Jujutsu Kaisen recasts Kotodama as a tactical martial art rather than divine right. Despite their tonal differences, both series tap into the same core myth: words are vessels of will. Euclid's unbridled reality warping resonates with accounts of Kotodama in Shinto lore, where a single mispronounced syllable could invite misfortune. Meanwhile, Jujutsu Kaisen's structured approach mirrors how ancient Japanese mystics used precise chants and mantras to achieve predictable effects, an echo of Shinto priests invoking kami through Nor-Ito. Even online analyses point out that cursed speech operates by imbuing words with cursed energy, in direct parallel to Kotodama's spirit of words, cementing the conceptual link across media. Other example comes from the famous series Black Clover. The character Zagred exemplifies the essence of Kotodama through his unique magic attribute known as word soul magic. By merely uttering words, Zagred can manipulate his surroundings, conjure objects, and even control other beings. And Kotoha Isani from Yazakura Quartet introduces a character who can summon objects by vocalizing their names. These examples across modern media demonstrate the persistent allure of Kotodama and its adaptability to different genres and narratives. As I continued exploring Kotodama, I realized something even more profound. This belief in the power of words isn't unique to Japan. All over the world, across different times and cultures, people have believed that language holds a kind of magic. My imagination carried me far beyond Japan. From continent to continent, I found echoes of the same idea. Spoken words that could bless, curse, heal, or transform. It was as if, in these moments, language and reality touched. I began to see each culture's stories not just as tales, but as keys to how they understood the world. Now, my search pushes me to find the connections and contrasts between these traditions. One by one, I meet the world's word wielders and the tongues they use to shape their reality. Each encounter becomes a challenge, a trial of insight, and a test of how deeply I can understand the true power of the spoken word. Norse Galdr. In the cold lands of the north, we find the ancient art of Galdr, magical chants or incantations used by the Vikings. The word Galdr comes from Old Norse and means song or spell. To perform a Galdr, one would chant runes or powerful words aloud, often during a ritual, to produce a real effect, whether to summon winds, heal the sick, or harm an enemy. Norse sagas tell of witches, sorcerers, and even ordinary people using galdr, the plural of galder. Women sang them during childbirth, and the goddess Groa once chanted 9 galdr to protect her son. In the Havamal, Odin himself boasts of knowing 18 galdr, spells that can stop arrows, calm fires, or open locked doors. Each rune spoken or carved was believed to shape reality itself. In the Norse world, words were more than symbols. They held power, binding language and fate together. On the other hand, in ancient India, we encounter the mantra, a powerful and sacred sound. The word mantra means instrument of thought or tool of the mind, from manas, mind, and tra, tool or instrument. These sounds, whether a single syllable or a full verse, are believed to carry deep spiritual power. Take the syllable Om, for example. In Hindu tradition, it's considered the primordial sound, the vibration of the universe itself, the audible expression of Brahman, the Absolute. Chanting Om is not just a practice in sound, but in aligning oneself with the cosmos. Longer mantras, like the Gayatri mantra from the Rig Veda or the Hare Krishna chant, are composed of words and names of deities arranged in precise, poetic sequences. Each is believed to focus the mind, awaken spiritual awareness, or harmonize the world. In both Hindu and Buddhist traditions, repeating a mantra called japa can transform consciousness. It's more than repetition, it's a meditative act. Some sages describe mantras as keys, unlocking deeper layers of the self. Traveling back to the golden sands of ancient Egypt, we encounter Ika, often written Heka, a word that meant both magic and the name of the god who embodied it. In Egyptian belief, Heka wasn't just a tool or a trick. It was a fundamental force of the universe. In fact, in the pyramid texts, some of the oldest religious writings on Earth, Heka was said to exist before the gods themselves, and even they relied on it to create the world. The word Heka literally means activating the Ka, with Ka being the spiritual life force present in both gods and humans. Fittingly, the hieroglyph for Heka includes the symbol for Ka, reminding us that magic was inseparable from the divine spark of life. By the time of the coffin texts, Heka was more than a force. He was personified as a deity born at the very dawn of time. But to the Egyptians, magic wasn't just about mysterious energy. It was about words, symbols, and ritual. They believed that spoken and written spells didn't just represent power, they were power. The act of writing a hieroglyph or chanting a sacred phrase could influence the divine and shape reality itself. Egyptian magicians and priests used wands, carved protective spells in tombs, and called on Heka's name during rituals. As one scholar puts it, they summoned the power of Heka through sacred words, images, and ceremonies, using the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, to align the physical and spiritual worlds. In short, Heka was not just Egypt's god of magic. He was magic, an ancient creative force that bridged the human and divine, the spoken and the real. Meanwhile, in West Africa, we encounter the griots, also known as Jelly or Jali, master storytellers, historians, poets, and musicians who serve as living libraries of their communities. For centuries, griots have passed down the histories, genealogies, and cultural wisdom of their people, all through spoken word and song. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, griots preserve the genealogies, historical narratives, and oral traditions of their people. Praise songs are also part of the griots' repertoire. These performances aren't just entertainment. They are memory, identity, and power woven into rhythm and rhyme. A griot song can celebrate a king, criticize a ruler, recount a battle, or mourn a tragedy. Their words carry real influence, able to inspire unity, preserve legacy, or even stir conflict. In many ways, griots turn language into a kind of magic, where speech becomes both shield and spear. In this oral tradition, we see how music, memory, and belief combine to create something enduring, a living archive, passed not by paper, but by voice. Native American sacred songs in the Americas, music holds deep spiritual meaning for many indigenous tribes. Among the Lakota of the Great Plains, sacred songs are more than music, they are ceremonies in themselves. These songs, often passed down through generations, are carefully preserved by elders, and used in rituals involving the sacred pipe, prayer, and healing. They are believed to carry great spiritual power, capable of bringing peace, clarity, strength, or even visions. The songs don't always rely on words. Sometimes it's the rhythm, the tone, or even a single syllable that carries the meaning. The steady beat of the drum is often described as the heartbeat of the earth, grounding those who listen. At a powwow or ceremony, the moment an elder begins to sing, a deep silence often falls, a sign of reverence for the connection between song and spirit. For many native people, the true power of the song lies not just in how it sounds, but in the emotion and intention behind it. When sung with a pure heart, a sacred song becomes a form of medicine, something that can heal, guide, or transform. To help chart this territory, consider the parallel side by side. This table of word magic traditions highlights that across the globe, people have entrusted words with extraordinary potency. Some believe the way a word is spoken, its melody, intent, and even the ink of the letters can unlock hidden forces. No doubt, there are many more cultures around the world that hold similar beliefs in the power of words. If you know of others, feel free to share them in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. My mind pushed back. Surely words can't literally kill or heal. That's just superstition, right? Science tells us that cause and effect must be physical, measurable. Maybe Kotodama is just clever symbolism. Maybe word magic is really just psychology dressed up in ancient robes. I started to feel frustrated. Then I remembered the headlines. A single viral rumor had ruined someone's reputation overnight. Hate speech had sparked real-world violence. I thought about my own life, how a careless word between loved ones can cut deeper than a blade, and how a kind phrase can lift someone from despair. Were these just emotional flukes, or were they signs of something deeper? In that moment of doubt, it felt like the very idea that words could cause real change was the enemy. I asked myself, if people truly believed in Kotodama long ago, did it ever actually work? That question haunted me. Everything I'd gathered felt intangible, slipping through my fingers. Maybe the real challenge wasn't proving a mystical force, but accepting that the power of words might not be magic in the way I'd imagined. Maybe it was subtler, quieter, and yet just as real. Then came the insight. The real treasure of this journey wasn't proof, it was understanding. I realized that even if words don't move atoms, they absolutely move minds. From ancient shamans to modern poets, people have always known that language shapes belief, and belief shapes reality. The patterns I saw weren't illusions. They pointed to a truth that echoes across cultures. Words can ignite courage, preserve memory, and shift destinies by changing what people believe and how they act. A whispered prayer might not bend the laws of physics, but it can bend the will, and that's powerful. And more than anything, I saw that intention is the hidden key. The word wielders I encountered didn't speak casually. They spoke with purpose. Their words carried their will. And in the stillness that followed my doubt, I finally understood words have power, not just through the cosmos, but through the hearts and minds of those who hear them. It's a shared magic. We give words their power by believing in them and by acting on them. When I returned to everyday life, everything looked the same. The morning routine, the quiet hum of the city, the familiar voices around me. But something inside me had changed. I no longer heard words as just sounds. I now sensed the subtle power behind them. A quiet force the Japanese call Kotodama, the spirit or soul of words. The first test came quickly. One morning, I spilled my coffee. Instinctively, I wanted to curse, but instead, I paused. I whispered, "It's all right." That small, gentle phrase didn't clean the mess, but it softened my mood. The energy of my words reshaped the moment. That was the first lesson. Words can change how we experience reality, even when the outside world stays the same. At work, I began to notice how a single kind word could lift someone's mood, or how a careless remark could darken it. I started choosing my words like tools, not weapons. A simple phrase of encouragement, a metaphor that helped someone see their problem differently. These became my everyday spells. Reading a poem aloud gave me energy. Writing morning affirmations cleared mental fog like opening a window. These weren't dramatic changes, but they were real. Bit by bit, I saw how mindful speech created harmony, not only around me, but within me. With Kotodama in mind, I started listening differently. English, though far from Japanese, still echoed with the same ancient intuition. That words hold power. Phrases like, "I name this," or "speak your truth," carry an invisible weight. Even casual sayings like, "bless you," or "good luck," hint at an old belief that speech can shape outcomes. I wasn't afraid of this anymore. I didn't treat it like superstition. Instead, I saw it as a deeper kind of literacy. When a politician moved crowds with rhetoric, or when news headlines stirred outrage, I could feel it words casting spells. Language wasn't neutral. It never had been. That was the first gift of Kotodama. Awareness. I began speaking with more purpose, more presence. I didn't need rituals or sacred chants to honor Kotodama, just mindfulness. Every word became a choice, every sentence a subtle spell, and slowly, my life began to shift. This wasn't about chanting in temples or becoming a monk. The power of Kotodama lives in daily life. When a friend felt anxious, I found myself humming softly, calming both of us. When I heard bad news, I instinctively whispered a quiet blessing into the silence. It wasn't dramatic. It was ancient, ordinary magic made new again. Words, when spoken with care, started to glow in their own quiet way. I felt a responsibility, not a burden, in how I used them. Over time, the fear of being misunderstood faded. I knew now that my words didn't have to impress. They had to mean something. Whether I was comforting someone, offering thanks, or simply greeting the day, I was practicing Kotodama, using language as a bridge between the visible and the unseen. Across time and cultures, people have believed that words carry real power. The Japanese had Kotodama. The Norse had Galder sung spells. India gave us mantras, Egypt had Heka. All different names for the same truth. Language is force. No, we don't chant for rain or whisper spells into the wind as often now. But we still use this power every day. It's in heartfelt apologies, in speeches that move us, in the quiet prayers we say when we're alone. Kotodama isn't a myth. It's a mirror. It reflects what we believe, feel, and hope. And when we speak with intention, that mirror becomes a window, one that opens to change. Now I speak more slowly, more kindly, not perfectly, but with awareness. I won't bring down mountains with my voice, but I know that every word I use can build, heal, or uplift. That, to me, is the real gift of Kotodama. Not magic tricks, but a magical way to live. For more magic and mythology, click the video on the left. Want to dive into the world of mythical races? The video on the right has you covered. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload.